Good morning. My name is Reverend Kylie Renner, and on behalf of the entire One Spiritual Center community, I want to welcome you here to my living room this morning. With me is Sid Fendley and the amazing Zephyr Renner. And we are One Spiritual Center. Thank you for joining us this morning in these challenging, dynamic, powerful, interesting times. And I want to start by telling you a little story about something that happened this week that touched my heart. And that is that for the last 3 years, almost now, we've lived in this same neighborhood. And we walk almost every day and have this route we take. And this is a common thing in this neighborhood. A lot of people walk. And so we often will see people who are going along their route. And there's this particular gentleman who we see almost every day. And over the years, we've done the social distance wave from a distance and acknowledged each other's presence. And he's very determined about his walk, and so he doesn't stop, and we've never talked, and I don't know his name. I actually don't know where exactly he lives around here. And we were walking this week, though, and our paths happened to cross, and all of a sudden he stops and takes a moment and says, "Are you guys okay? Do you need anything?" And it was one of I teared up afterwards because of the reach of just that kind of kindness that we're looking out for one another, that we're paying attention to each other, maybe in ways that we didn't before. Maybe we were friendly before, but not in the same way. And my heart is touched. In fact, I have tears in my eyes just now about the power of that kind of interaction. And so I also want to just express gratitude for all of the people who've reached out to say that that the thing that we are doing here is meaningful. Because honestly, it's really awkward. It feels really strange still as a public speaker to be speaking in a room of two people who are trying to pretend to pay attention. We're not pretending. Well, who are trying not to react or make noises. I know it's awkward for Sid as well, because it's very, very different to be playing to a room of just us, where most of the sound is actually going to you and not to us, the way we have it routed. So I just am entirely and immensely grateful for those of you who've taken the time to say, "Hey, that really made a difference in my week, that I had a chance to be with you." So thank you for reaching out. And I guess this is my reminder, is that there's people around you that are available to your kindness. And so today is all about kindness, a deeper form of kindness maybe than we've thought of before, and kindness to ourselves and to those around us. And I'm just so grateful to have this opportunity to be together and to remember and to remind each other of the one power. So thank you for being here this morning. And we are going to start with a prayer. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, I am going to invite you to do so. And I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to your breath, to this present moment, where nothing has to be decided upon, nothing has to be done, and nothing has to be known, where nothing has to be figured out. And as we allow ourselves to be present right here, I just know that Spirit is guiding us in this time of examination, this time of deep transformation, this time of care. And as we allow ourselves to remember how deeply connected we are to all of life, how deeply we feel, how deep our power really is, I recognize the sacred moment that we exist in right here and now. Opening us further. Guiding us deeper. And so I just know that whatever it is that we need to hear or see or feel or experience for a greater peace comes easily and effortlessly to the surface, so that we may be reminded of how loved we are by the One. And so I just let love and kindness point the way. And I let it be. And so it is. So to prepare for our meditation this morning, I've chosen a poem that I've actually shared before. But this week I had an opportunity to listen to the author tell why, or the story of this poem. And I was touched in a deeper way by her experience. And so the poem's by a woman named Naomi Shihab Nye. And the story goes that she and her husband were on their honeymoon. And they had made this plan and saved up all their money to be able to spend 3 months in Colombia for their honeymoon. And while they were there for the first week, they were on a bus that was robbed, and one of the people on the bus was in fact killed. And they had lost everything that they had saved for this trip, and it was all gone. And it was just really very traumatic experience. And so she tells a story that she was sitting with the only possessions that she still had, which included a small notebook. And she was sitting in this plaza in Colombia, and she took out her pen, and she tells the story that it felt like the poem was transcribed to her, like it wasn't really her poem. And after hearing this story behind this poem that's called Kindness, I could feel it in a deeper way, and it feels so real right now. So I'm going to share it with you, and then our special guest, John Bartlett, will be leading us in a meditation. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like a salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the man in a white poncho lies by the side of the road, dead. You must see how this could be you. How he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows, and you can see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for." and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. And so we take this beautiful poem, the kindness that goes with us everywhere like a shadow or a friend, and we allow the meditation to move us to that place that finds kindness inside of us. Thank you so much, John, for that beautiful meditation. And now Sid will be our guest today. So here he is.
We have so many guests.
So many guests.
The words I have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? You say it's very hard to leave behind the life we knew. But there's no other way. Now it's really up to you. Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom, the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Love is the key we must turn, and truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom, the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen?
That was beautiful. Thank you, Sid, for that. So I love that there are so many amazing poets out there who, even after they have passed, they've written so much that I can encounter something and be completely blown away again by the beauty and the wisdom in it. And I came across a Mary Oliver poem that I had never read before this week, and I was really moved by the way which she captures this sentiment. So this poem is called The Poet Compares Human Nature to the Ocean from Which We Came. This is what she says. The sea can do craziness. It can do smooth. It can lie down like silk breathing or toss havoc shoreward. It can give gifts and withhold all. It can rise, ebb, froth like an incoming frenzy of fountains, or it can sweet talk entirely, as I can too. And so, no doubt, can you and you. And I loved this idea that we can do all of those things, just like the sea. That we can do all of the craziness and we can do smooth and we can be like silk breathing and we can do all of those things, that in fact is what we're here to do. And that means that we can also do kindness. And do kindness in this way that taps into our shared humanity and our shared vision that it is possible for us to care for one another in a way that is so much deeper than just being normally connected, that we are actually connected in this deeper way. And so I keep going back to poetry right now just because of its capacity to not have to necessarily explain the particular thing we're experiencing, but to tap into some deeper connection that we have to all of it. And that line from the poem that I shared before the meditation that just keeps coming back is that before you must know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. And this sorrow that I've been feeling, this sorrow for all of the loss that we're experiencing right now, is this sorrow that I believe is getting me in touch with a kind of kindness that is so much deeper. This kind of kindness that says that I am not just my brother's keeper, I am my brother. And I am that energy that is intended to create whatever it takes so that we care for one another in the way that I know is possible. And I keep thinking about that sense in which where we move from this kindness being some act that we do, when we feel like we get to be generous, to this whole mentality about how we move through this life that we've been given and how we care for one another. And it's so incredibly funny to me. So I have to tell you something that happened a few weeks ago, which is I received some anonymous hate mail, and it said all this stuff about me that wasn't true, which was interesting. But then the next thing that they sent was this meme about that the only thing is that it's important about any of this is how we care for one another and how we treat one another. And I just burst into laughter. So here's this person calling me all kinds of names, doing so anonymously, saying all these things about me. And then right on the back of that saying, well, but what really matters is how we treat each other. And it made me laugh, and I was so grateful, because otherwise it might have been hurtful, because I was grateful because obviously the person did not realize the irony of what they had just done. But it also made me really aware of the fact that we have to be really mindful of the way in which we are engaging in kindness. Because kindness isn't just being nice. There's a type of kindness that is about speaking hard truths. There's a type of kindness that says no. There's a type of kindness that says I will not participate in systems that oppress other people. And I will not do those things that I know might work for me, but really in the long run don't work for this planet or for other people or for these bigger things that we're participating in. And this kind of kindness requires us to be brave and to be willing to speak and to be into that kind of world that we know is possible. And it also requires us to be really mindful, because there's traps in it, and there's traps where we forget and we forget that we are here to, in fact, committed to this bigger thing, and we have to keep our vision there and not get trapped in the inconvenience or how difficult it feels in any moment. So there's a story about William James, and the story goes that as a young boy, Henry James, sorry, but it actually is about his son, his brother's son, in fact. So I'm going to try again. That story really got screwed up. So when Henry James was saying goodbye once to his young nephew, Billy, who was his brother William's son, all totally unnecessary information, he said something to this young boy that he never forgot. And they had talked about all of these, important things over the years, as Henry James was such a brilliant philosopher and mind. But one of the thing that really struck him or stayed with him is when they were saying goodbye this one particular morning, Henry James told him that there are three things that are important in the human life. And he said the first is to be kind, the second is to be kind, and the third is to be kind. And of all of the amazing things that he could have remembered of his uncle, that was the thing that struck him most powerfully. And I think the thing about kindness is that while on one hand it is an easy thing to talk about sometimes, especially when we're stressed or when we are feeling fear or we're experiencing trauma, it's hard to remember that kindness is something that we have to bring to ourselves, especially, and then also let it overflow out of us, that it's a gift that we have to give that can actually create some meaning in a time where it feels like not much makes sense. And I love that line from Naomi that just says that there's some point in life and in sorrow where kindness becomes the only thing that makes sense anymore. And I've been thinking about that, like that idea that at some point kindness is the only thing that makes sense anymore. And if that's the only thing that makes sense, then it's what we have to thread through our entire lives and make sure that we're paying attention to and make sure we're creating it. So Sharon Salzberg wrote a book about kindness a few years ago, and I had always caught myself on the beginning of a passage and never really gotten deeper into the work. And so I was reading more fully this week, and I loved her words. So this is what she says. A commitment to kindness can be a thread that twines throughout our various successes, disappointments, delights, and traumas, making our lives seamless, giving us ballast in a world of change, a reservoir of heartfulness to infuse our choices, our relationships, and our reactions. Many of us long for an underlying sense of meaning, something we can still believe in no matter what happens to us, a navigational force to pull all the disparate pieces of our lives together into some kind of whole. Perhaps we find ourselves feeling helpless when we don't have any control over a situation and can't fathom what might happen next, unsure of where we turn when we aren't having the positive effect we want on a troubled family member or a friend. In any of these circumstances and in so many more, we shut down. When we go through the motions of our day after day without much dynamism or spirit. Many of us experience ourselves as fragmented, perhaps as confident and expressive when we are with our families, but a completely different person when we are at work, frequently hesitant and unsure. Perhaps we take risks when we are with others but are timid alone, or are cozily comfortable when alone yet are painfully shy and withdrawn with others. Or maybe we drift through the tides of circumstances going up and down, not knowing what we may really care about more than anything else, but thinking there must be something. To explore kindness as a thread of meaning requires finding out if we can be strong and still be kind, be smart and still be kind, whether we can be profoundly kind to ourselves and at the same time strongly dedicated to the kindness for those around us. We have to find the power in kindness, the confidence in kindness, the release in kindness, the type of kindness that transcends belief systems, allegiances, ideologies, cliques, and tribes. And this is a trait that can transform our lives. So this is the kindness. This is the kindness that I believe we're being asked to cultivate when nothing else makes sense anymore. And this kindness allows us to care for one another in this way that really says that we belong to one another. And so you will have heard me all over and over the years saying, at some point we got to realize that whatever your prayer is my prayer, and that your health is my health, and your food is my food, and your well-being is my well-being, and your money is my money, and all of it, that we are actually connected in that way. And if we're not being given such an amazing reflection of that right now, I don't know what else we're being given. That the idea that your health is mine and mine is yours, and your emotional health and your spiritual health and your physical health and all of it, we belong together to each other and together in that way, which requires us to look at whether we're being kind and whether we are actually showing that part of ourselves that remembers that it matters that we care for one another in that way. And I just realized that one of the things that I've been encountering is the places where, while I am more easily able to be kind to others when they're struggling around certain things or encountering challenges, is then harder for me to have that same kindness to myself. And so I've been recommitting to making sure that I'm being kind to myself first, putting my own oxygen mask on first, because it is necessary, if we belong to one another, that I also be kind to myself, just as necessary as it is for me to be kind to others. And we're going through something so challenging, so unknown, so I don't even have words for how so it is. And I have to tell you that if you are feeling overwhelmed, you are not alone. And you are doing a freaking fantastic job, even if you are freaking out, even if you are overwhelmed, even if you are sad, even if you are angry. You are absolutely doing exactly what you need to be doing. And it is necessary to give yourself permission and to be kind about it, because this is uncharted territory. And we are being required to look at things in a new way, and what is on the other side of this is not clear yet. And so giving ourselves some credit that we are doing tremendously well, considering the trauma that we're collectively experiencing, is really important, especially when we find ourselves not being the spouse we want ourselves to be, or the parent we wish we were, or the neighbor we thought we were, or whatever that is, that we actually find some kindness for ourselves that then allows that sorrow, that real sorrow that feels ever present right now, to actually connect us to the common experience we're having. And as Naomi says, that catches the thread of all sorrows, so that we can see the size of that cloth, and the size of that cloth is incredibly overwhelming right now, but it also doesn't just point the way to sorrow, it points the way to kindness that is bigger. So another friend this week shared with me a piece that has been attributed to Khalil Gibran, and I actually will tell you that I don't believe that Khalil Gibran wrote this. It doesn't sound like him at all. But it doesn't take away from the power of this writing. So yeah, if you didn't know, I'm kind of a Khalil Gibran freak. I have like books of his letters to his to his love of his life, and I can imagine him saying something like this, but this is not how he would say it. So this is the piece, though, because I found it powerful, no matter who said it. So we're going to call it anonymous today. And this is what it is. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks to the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees a vast ocean that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way back. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it is not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. And so this resonated so deeply with me this week from the perspective of the power of what kindness does, the power that where we don't disappear into it, but we become the energy of it, and we have to take the risk of letting ourselves go past this place where we feel like maybe we're stuck right now. And we actually use the power of kindness to catapult us into this new thing, to move us into the ocean, to move that energy that we have stored up into a vision of what's possible on the other side of this. And I keep telling you, it's going to take commitment to make sure that we just don't try and go back to what's normal. And so I love the idea that we're like that river pushing towards the ocean, and we can't go back. Like that, we're past that point where we are way past. That ship has sailed. Like we are way past this kind of sense that we could just open up back our businesses and keep going like nothing has happened. And therefore how powerful it is to remember that kindness in us can remind us that we're not in fact disappearing, that nothing that was is gone, but that we're actually becoming something more. And that we are becoming the ocean, and that we have to be willing to allow ourselves to do so, and to make a commitment to this kind of kindness that is the kind of thing that makes things make sense again. And so, and in as many ways that nothing makes sense right now, I also know that kindness still does. And that we can find it for ourselves, and that we can share it with others, and that we can give it away freely. And that truly there's a kindness inside of us seeking to express itself. And so there's that song that Patty Littlefield sings so beautifully that says, the kindest words that will ever be said are waiting. And they're waiting in us, and they're the kindest things that we could ever do, the kindest vision we could ever hold. That kind of fierce kindness is so ready to be unleashed on this planet right now, and we're ready. So I invite you to join me in this practice of deeper kindness and kindness to ourselves, and remembering that we're part of something bigger. And I thank you for joining me in this, because we're ready. So I'm going to ask Sid to help me and sing us into our prayer today.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free.
And so our prayer of love today is a prayer of unleashing the force of kindness in, through, and as us in a deeper, more powerful way than ever before. unleashing our compassion and our awareness and the tenderness of our hearts and our sorrow, and joining it together with all of the kindness that exists in, through, and as all beings everywhere. And as we allow that kindness to expand, where we remember that there is only kindness, we allow for a new experience of all of the challenges that we face to come into being as we allow for the only possible solutions to come from the power of this deep care for one another and for ourselves. And I just know that it matters that we are willing to be kind. I know that it matters that there is kindness inside of us. And that we are willing to take that risk of becoming the ocean, the risk of losing ourselves in this bigger vision that gets to unfold, but not really losing ourselves because we are becoming ourselves. And so we let go of everything that we need to in order for this kindness to show up. Any small ideas of ourselves, any small ideas that whatever kindness we have to give or show is too small. And we welcome this opportunity to shower ourselves and everyone and everything we encounter with kindness that is no respecter of people or opinions or tribes or points of view. We allow kindness to guide the way. We let kindness make sense as the only possible response. Fierce kindness, truthful kindness, but kindness. And we know Spirit is present, even in the unknown, even in the fear. It's right there. And we lean into it. And we let it be. And so it is.
A prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us free.
Thank you, Sid. That was beautiful. So I want to thank you, all those who've been making contributions to One Spiritual Center. We have been you have been so generous with us, and we're really grateful in all these times of uncertainty, because all of this, the money that we've been receiving has been going into our account just to sit there for when we can reopen, or when one of our people needs something. So thank you so much for that expression of love and kindness that we've received so far. I want to let you know that there's several ways that you can make a contribution if you feel so moved. One is that on onespiritualcenter.org, there is a form that you can fill out that where you can make a contribution. There's also a text to give number, which is 505-207-4916. And when you text that number for the first time, it will prompt you to make an account. And then afterwards, it's very easy to just text in that number and type in the amount you would like to donate. And it all happens very easily and effortlessly. If you'd like to send a check, please send us a message, and we will get you our address. And I want to thank also everyone who showed up at Roadrunner Food Bank yesterday to help us help that amazing organization that's doing such great work right now. We did really the most boring thing I've ever done there. I've been there once a month at least for 10 years, and I have never, ever, ever done something quite that boring. But you all made it fun. So thank you for helping with that. We were taking granola bars that had not been labeled properly about their allergen content, opening boxes and having to individually label 30 individual granola bars per box, then putting them all back in a box and then putting them in a pallet. And it really, mind-numbing, does not go far enough. So we had a good time though, and it was nice to spend some time with some of you. So if you're interested or available to help with any of our volunteering opportunities, we will be cooking for Community of Hope on the 3rd Saturday of May. And then on the 4th Saturday of May, we'll be back at Roadrunner Food Bank, because that's what we do. And the need is tremendous. I can't remember exact numbers, but it sounded like they're distributing about twice as much food as they were before all of this. And before all of this, they were feeding 70,000 people. So it's they don't know the exact numbers right now, but the need is so tremendous. And so thank you for helping make those granola bars go where they need to go. I kept having to say, this is really slow and this is really painful, but there are 10 grams of protein per bar. These are protein granola bars. So this is 300 grams of protein going out per box. And I had to keep reminding myself of that, because otherwise I think my brain would have exploded. So thank you. Hopefully they'll be done with this project by next month. I'm really hoping. And thanks for helping out with that, because I'm pretty sure that wasn't like a ringing endorsement that you want to join us next month at Roadrunner. No, not really. Doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, did it? But it's so nice to just be able to spend a few hours and make a contribution in that way. So thank you. So yeah, that's what's going on. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sid and Zephyr, for helping make this happen. And for all of you for watching. I did have a request to do closed captioning. I don't know how to do that. So if one of you would like to make that happen, I would be more than willing to talk to you about that. But until I can figure it out, I apologize that is not an option at this time. And I believe that we are ready to sing.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord. We can feel alright. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith, yeah, that day is so humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord. We can feel alright. People get ready for that train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board on. There's room for all that love the most. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord. We can feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.
We have one last blessing to sing to one another.
Go forth and walk in beauty, and know that we